What are you doing? Hi friends, welcome to Sunflower Hill. I'm trying to outcompete the chickens bocking and all sorts of noises going on today. Today we're going to have a look at what veggies I've still got growing. It's late winter, the end of winter, it's August. I've got a fair bit of veggies growing in this run. Not quite what I wanted, but hey, it never is. I made a bit of a rookie mistake earlier in the season and unfortunately lost quite a few plants because I didn't take the cover off. I get my veggies started using a low hoop system and I forgot to take the cover off early enough to check to weed, and unfortunately by the time I took it off I had really big weeds and quite small veggies, and a lot of them had just been out competed. But we still have a lot and I have a few things in other spaces, so we'll have a wander around and look, and we might have a look at some geese as well. So we're in a cool temperate climate. We get frost but we don't get snow or anything like that. If you are in a colder climate where you get snow, you would need to have a greenhouse of some kind and protection. You'll know your climate better than me. But let's have a look at what we've got growing at the moment and what we're eating. All right, let's go. My efforts of going through and weeding have definitely borne fruit. The plants were there, they just needed to be liberated from the clutches of the weeds. Some of these, this is carrots, and I like to sow them like this because anything else is too much effort. So I just sow them, basically just broadcast them, and you get lumps like this. And they pretty much keep the weeds out just by the sheer volume of carrot plants that come up. And then I like to go through, I don't thin them as you can see, and yes, you get smaller carrots, but then I go through and I'll pick out the biggest one, and that way all the carrots get to grow. The carrots that are left behind there then have more room to grow and mature. And then the next biggest one will come along. So that's how I do carrots. No big deal. You can thin them when they're young if you prefer, but I just like to get as much as I can out of what I plant. So I do it that way. And here are the veggies that were actually in amongst all those weeds. Kale, there's a couple of types of mustard greens there. There's a little silver beet that's just come up from some seed that's been around. More mustard greens, all the brassicas, various different brassicas. If I had thinned this much earlier, weeded this earlier, I would have had a lot of brassicas, but some have just been lost. Same in here. There's definitely some beets coming along, and some of them do have tubers on them, but there was a lot more. There's a beet that's doing a lot better. But up here, the grand excitement up here is that I discovered turnips. The turnips I planted actually are doing really, really well. And I've pulled out lots. I've got a huge, hand-sized, massive one inside. There's lots more. So they did really well. I didn't even realise they were there. And the weeds have turned into just things that start with R. What are they? Oh my goodness, radishes. The radishes took over, which I suppose isn't that surprising. Radishes are just like, I don't know, the heavy lifters of the plant world. Oh, my scissors! Oh, the joy! Oh, I lost them. Oh, that's great. That's very exciting. And look, they still work. How awesome. Thank you, garden, for giving me my scissors back. That's exciting. Anyway, I have many radishes, and over here the peas are going quite well. The snow peas, we've eaten some snow peas off those, so that's pretty good. And self-sown oats for the chooks. They love these things, hence they're hanging around. They're chooks. They have got the old summer run that they're eating, but they've kind of stripped that out now, as you can see over there, or you can maybe see, I don't know. Anyway, they're eating the oats. What are you doing in here? Excuse me? What are you doing? He's meant to be out in the paddock. Out you go. Come on. So this is my 8-year-old daughter holding that radish, and hopefully she's in it because I cannot see. Oh yeah, there you are. Okay, so that's child, and that's the size of the radish. So they get a tiny little bit out of hand, a bit out of control. They're really, really, really huge. Right, I'm going to throw this to the chooks. You ready? You ready, chooks? They look pretty ready. Ready? Go get it. That makes their day anyway. Happy chooks. And I'm just showing you this because of the bees on it. So these go to seed. You can actually eat the seed pods. They're starting to form here. The little seed pods starting to form, and once, oh, sorry bee, don't land on me. Once those form, you can actually eat those. You can eat pretty much every part of radishes, and pretty much every part of it tastes like. What does it taste like?
It tastes pretty good.
Yeah, it does taste pretty good, but what does it taste like? Radish. Tastes like radish. Yes, it does. Most of these radishes are probably pure daikons, like the one we just threw over the fence. But some of them will be crossed with red radishes that I've had in the past. And yeah, these strange radishes with, you know, white with oh, I know, it's amazing, isn't it? Ooh, white with purple rings and stuff like that. So radishes are very interesting. If you have enough garden space and want to let some go, they certainly attract pollinators anyway. They're really good. Let the flowers go to seed. So this is some snow peas. We have got snow peas off them. I don't know, something's clearly been eating them. I think actually what happened was I didn't have this trellis. I just planted them thinking I'd put a trellis in, and then I put the trellis in later and actually damaged these, putting them on the trellis, and then something is clearly biting them off, like eating the tips. But we have had snow peas. Whoops, we have actually had snow peas from them, so it's not a disaster. But I might get some string or even just poke that through there, and these do snap quite easily. There we go, now it's back on. So if you live in a reasonably temperate climate, these things are all things that you can grow through winter. They will happily withstand some frost. We get some pretty heavy frost. It hasn't been that heavy frost this year, but we do get heavy frosts here, and they will happily withstand that. No worries at all. All of the things I've shown you. And this here, just as a little teaser for the other video, this is baby leeks. So if you want to know what to do with all that and how to get baby leeks to grow themselves, just have a look at my leeks video. Alright, so here's the broad beans. And we'll go into the next run. Okay, something else we eat over winter, a fruit we eat over winter, and I probably just do go on and on about this plant, but it's Cape gooseberries. I'll put the botanical name on the screen, but it's late winter and we've been eating these all winter. These are inside a polytunnel, which I meant to grow other things in, but these have taken over. But look how much fruit. So I'm happy to give space to that. Winter fruit, prolific winter fruit, and it's delicious. So good.
I didn't realise how many fruit.
Yeah, your kids need to come and eat. So good. They are so good. Oh yum, they are just so good. So delicious. Do yourself a favour. Do yourself a favour and get some Cape gooseberries. Sweet and delicious. They're so sweet and so delicious when they're completely ripe. So yummy. Okay, let's turn you back around and go back out here. Okay, so there's two things going on here. One is the perennial leeks patch, the one with not that isn't completely choked with weeds. And here there's some salsify. I know, what the heck is salsify? It actually grows as a weed around here, but it's really hard to pick what it is because it just looks like grass. But it has a root vegetable down the bottom there. So there is a root vegetable. I will film digging one up, but I haven't had a go at them yet. They are a new thing this year for me. All right, and the other main thing going on in this tunnel, is my garlic crop. It's the rooster yelling. Oh, hang on. Is my garlic crop, which the kids helped plant. It took quite a while, quite a bit of work in preparation and quite a bit of work in planting. But look at it, going really well. I did get this in later than I should have, but it's going pretty well. And so this is the emporium from the outside. Oh, you're so worried I'm not chasing you? I'm just walking in the same direction, buddy. There's a garlic crop here, and all that undergrowth there is the insane radishes. We're just going to go and see what this goose is doing, because she's obviously starting the nesting process up here. When there's hissing, there's usually nesting. Hi. I won't bother her too much, but she's obviously nesting. They are late winter, they start fighting and nesting. There's a goose. Oh, so there is. There's actually one in there as well. This is a good place for them to nest. It's a nice safe place.
That one has no eggs under it, the brown one.
No, but she's making her nest, so she will have eggs. I think I need to throw some hay over so they can make a proper nest. They do actually make themselves a nest. That one in the back there
has made itself a nest.
Yeah, it's got quite a nice little nest in there. But this is a good spot. This is a nice safe shed. This is where I want them to nest up here, so they're out of the weather and safe from aerial predators. So the other things we're eating at the moment, apart from what's in the run, are mainly potatoes. Let's have a little look here. This is our potato growing area, and I have plans. I did this 4 or 5 years ago. It's a good area in that it's protected by the bus from the north, and we get the worst wind we get here is from the north, so it's quite well protected. But by the same token, it's directly under this massive gum tree. And gum trees do not take kindly to other things growing underneath them. So they're one of those trees that it's really not worth planting veggie gardens underneath. And they've done all right. The potatoes do all right. And I have potatoes, but it's a mess. And I want a raised, because I do a lot of bending to get into various garden places. I want something raised. I want a raised bed, even though they're actually, some of this is actually pretty good. I do want a raised bed, and so I haven't put the work I should be putting into weeding it. This time of year it's going to look pretty crappy because the frost has killed off. We haven't had terrible frost this year. Some other years we've had much more intense frost, and the entire lot, all of the plants would be gone. This year most of the tops are burnt off, but there's still time for frost. So we'll dig up a few potatoes. This is an absolute, to me, potatoes are an absolute staple. Absolutely cool if they're not to you, but to me they are. They're a real survival food. So I'll get my son to film and we'll see what we can find under here, digging up some potatoes. So under here, there will be, no, there's probably not much under here actually, because I have raided this. I do a form of harvesting with potatoes, which is called bandicooting, which is where you just get into the sides, and I don't harvest the whole thing. I'll just get underneath and see what's there. This is too young because I've bandicooted the heck out of it. So there's little young potatoes here. Basically, the reason I do it this way is that you still leave the mother plant, and you leave, you know, any potatoes that are too small. Pulling it all out at once, you've got to figure out where to store it. And I can never resist weeding. It's like this. It's moreish. It's like chips. Weeding. Anyway, it leaves heaps in the soil. Whereas if you pull it all out, then you have to start all over again, basically. But this area I have bandicooted quite heavily. So let's go to another bit over here and see what we can find. I haven't completely neglected this. I do pull up weeds like this. I'll pull up this grass and then I just chuck it back on top with the roots up so the roots die. And then it's just a natural way of mulching. Really easy, low effort way of mulching. Let's see what we can find. Here we go. There's a bigger one there. Can you get that? So potatoes like this, and I'll have a ferret round again, get some more later for our dinner. But there are lots of potatoes in here. It's just a matter of finding them. But there is more under there if I can get in with my hands. There's another decent, reasonable one. That one was a bit green. I do just cut the green bits off. But again, if you don't feel comfortable with that, then just replant green ones. There's another one. So there's plenty. There's plenty in here, but I want to do a raised bed, and I will show making the raised bed. I do have an idea of what I'm going to use to make it. I've got some old water tanks cut in half that were meant to be for housing for the geese, but they really don't need it particularly. All right, so pretty good. Not bad for a few minutes scrabbling around in the soil. So this is messy but effective, but I just want something that's a bit easier to access and easier to look after. Okay, so I don't like to take the potatoes in dirty just because it's more effort and it dirties my sink. So I just very simply just give them a quick rinse in a bucket. And yeah, I do that with all my veggies. I do it with the greens to prevent pests coming into the house. I've had mealybugs and slugs and things come inside, and I grow things inside. So I use it to prevent that, and also just to clean things up before I take them inside, so the sink doesn't have to be full of soil.
Here's Gracie having a relaxing afternoon. Look at her sitting on this big pile of wood chips here.
So the other thing we've been eating over winter, which is just so good, is this arrowroot. This is not true arrowroot, this crop here. This is Canna edulis, which is called Queensland arrowroot in Australia. And that's why you want to know botanical names, because you want to get the right plant. If you know it as, I bet overseas people don't call it Queensland arrowroot. They may not even call it that in Queensland. But this plant over here is true arrowroot. I'll do a video dedicated to these plants. I have taken some footage to do that. So I'll put that out soon, but I don't want to focus just on them at the moment. But down here is the part we eat. Just that tuber down there. Well, it's not a tuber, it's the swollen base of the plant. They spread like this by a central mother plant, and then these tubers come out from the sides. So that's probably more one that we'd eat first. So then I've pulled the whole thing out, but that's all edible. These are actually really good as a substitute for water chestnuts. They taste very similar if you put them in a stir fry and cook them like that. They take a little bit more cooking than potatoes. The other way to use them is as a thickener in soups and stews. So they're an absolute staple for me over winter. You can eat them over summer as well. They're another one of those all year, all rounders. Fantastic. So I'll take that for dinner, and keep an eye out for the video on those. Some calendula, enjoying the spring. All right, thank you so much for joining us on the tour of my winter gardens. This is just what I'm eating late winter, and I would say it's what I always eat late winter, or the kids and I always eat, but it's not true. Other years I've done much better with brassicas and, you know, other bits and pieces, but there's always, because I've got lots of different things in different places, there's always plenty to eat. We've got potatoes, we've got carrots. I actually didn't show you the carrots in that are still left in the summer run from last year. There's still beautiful edible carrots in there, so we're eating those. And we've got arrowroot, we've got all sorts of stuff. So very soon we're going to be moving into the next season. We're going to be moving into spring, and we're going to plant our spring seeds, and I will show you that. But for now, thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. I'm just getting going. Something that would really help is if you can please subscribe if you haven't already, and just hit the like button. And I'd love to chat to you in the comments as well if there's anything that you want to talk about. All right, so thank you so much for joining us. It's hooroo from the pollinators, the bees. It's hooroo from me, hooroo, and a hooroo from Gracie. Hooroo, Gracie. Hooroo. Bye, everyone. She's waving. Hooroo.